I'm an associate professor here at the Department of Theater Arts. I teach dramatic literature and dramaturgy and theater history. But I'm also the director of the Digital Arts and New Media program, DAM, here at UCSC. There must be some passion in there somewhere for what it is that you're doing, some reason why you think it's important, some reason why you want to give your entire life to it. My style of teaching is to share that passion with my students so that they understand, whether they are passionate about this work or not, they understand that I'm passionate about it. And what I find is that my enthusiasm for my work is contagious. I do feel like students appreciate it when you at least make an effort and you come halfway and you think about what you're doing as a teacher and you think, you know, how am I coming across? How can I bring in the outliers? You know, how can I reach both the people who are really good at this and who need to go on and have advanced challenges, and at the same time the people who are struggling? If you do, then you're rewarded by students that perform well. I do a lot of breaking of the fourth wall, as we say in the theater. You know, I get in there, I leave the teaching space and I go into the student space a lot. Students respond really well to that. I make my research topics in my classes, the assignments, open-ended enough that the students can choose things that really interest them. What's the most interesting thing about it for you? You know, what is it that you find the most challenging, or what makes you the angriest of all the things that I've said in this class? What's pissed you off the most? Or what makes you feel the most guilty? Or what makes you feel the most excited? Write about that, you know. And then they might actually discover that writing research papers is actually fun, you know, that they can really find out about something they're interested in, instead of forcing them to follow some model or write about some topic that they might not be interested in. You can see the results right there in front of you. You can say, okay, that's interesting. 40% of you are getting this wrong in this way. You can address that immediately in the class, right? You can say, okay, this is interesting because I want to make sure that everybody understands why that's not the right answer. And then people go, oh, okay. So that's really good. You get some real-time feedback there. I also use e-comments a lot. We create discussion forums, and that's been really positive because my TAs can read those instead of reading giant papers that would all be clustered at the end of the semester or at the end of the quarter. They can read these smaller mini essays and get a sense of how the students are doing over time, and then they can address those issues in their sections. Dannon has 4 projects every year that they do, and one of them is a performance technologies group. So what this is a year-long research project that I led along with Jim Bierman in playwriting in theater arts, and Mark Krumholz, who's in astrophysics. And we had this idea that we would get together and we would try to create a project group that would tell, through the use of what we were calling at the time immersive technology, the real stories of stars, how they form and live and die, in a way that was really human and that could be conveyed through theater. Theater is a tool for teaching. It's a tool for teaching right behavior and how to live in a society with other people. So why not use theater as a tool for teaching astrophysics? And I think we did. I think we were able to accomplish that. Live dialectical engagement is so important to the way that we as humans learn things, that's why the classroom hasn't changed, basically, since ancient Greece. Now here we are, and we're still teaching pretty much the same way. And this is because that live dialectical interaction, you might say theatrical interaction, is absolutely critically important to something about the way that we learn. And this is why MOOCs will never replace live teaching. Or, you know, these Coursera things, these online things, is never going to be a replacement. Supplement to? Sure. You know, in the same way that a book is a supplement to teaching. Fantastic, terrific. I would love to use a MOOC in the same way that I use a book, you know. But there is something fundamental about this interaction that we think is valuable enough that we don't replace it. So I've been doing a lot of research in how people interact with robots. and I've been doing a lot of work with robotics departments on creating robots that are more socially interactive. It's like, how do we make robots that can work in your home and interact with your children or the elderly? You know, how do you make robots that can teach autistic kids? But the solutions for creating robots that can interact socially with people are not engineering solutions as much as they are artistic solutions. Social robotics has really granted me a whole new perspective in the way that people approach technology, right? So I try to incorporate that into when I use advanced technology. A lot of things that I discover in my research affect the way that I teach. Not least because a lot of what I study has to do with, you know, what we call audience response, that you learn specifically about what audiences are interested in looking at and what they're not. And then you try to incorporate that into your own performance. So really, I do think of my teaching as an art form, which can be enhanced by my own knowledge of the art form. I try to put a lot of humor into what I do, and I try to do things that are unexpected, you know, so that students will pay attention. Being a good teacher is part of our obligation as scholars. I don't think that it's separate from our research. I think that it is part of our research. I think that it is possible to find great joy and great personal fulfillment in the work of teaching, and I have. And there's nothing I'd rather do.